Excellency Dr. Vinay, President of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Ministry of External Affairs of India, His Excellency Sri Thamrong, Minister Delegate attached to the Prime Minister, His Excellency Dr. Sao Chi-wan, Secretary of State for Rural Development and President of Cambodia-India Alumni Association, Her Excellency Dr. Devyani Khobragate, Ambassador of the Republic of India to Cambodia, Excellencies, fellow alumni, distinguished guests. First of all, I must thank Dr. Vinay for encouraging me to take a doctor degree, because he just referred to me as doctor. I need to take that. And secondly, from the beginning, I wish to also express my thanks to you for enhancing the slots of the ICC Scholarship for Cambodia. That's a great gift during this time. Allow me to express my high appreciation to the Embassy of India and to everyone for supporting my nomination for the ICCR Distinguished Alumni Award 2021. I am most thankful to Her Excellency Dr. Devyani for her support and also for organizing this evening's function. And it is indeed my great honor to have His Excellency Dr. Vinay, President of the ICCR, flying all the way from Delhi to be with us today and to present the award to me here in Phnom Penh. But thanks aside, allow me to go back in time just a little bit, because this is about me receiving an award. I like to just tell you a small story on the starting point of our arduous journey of revival of Cambodia to the current state. And it happens to my life and also our nation, where we start 40 years ago. In 1982, a group of 15 young Cambodians embarked on a trip to India. It was a unique experience for us because India was the only window for the so-called free world for us in the early 80s. India was the only democratic country at the time that recognized the government of Cambodia in Phnom Penh. As you all know, being caught in the middle of the East-West Cold War, the people of Cambodia who survived the Khmer Rouge genocidal regime had to further endure hardship due to the total economic and political embargo imposed by the West. Even traveling to India was a challenge. I remember we flew from here to Hanoi, spent the night there. Then from Hanoi, we flew to Bombay. At the time it was called Bombay, not Mumbai. And then from Bombay back to Moscow, and from Moscow to New Delhi. That's how we reached India. Why? Because Cambodia was not recognized. Our passport was not recognized. So we had to travel through country where our documents could be accepted. And for Cambodia government at the time, there were so many challenges they had to overcome while striving to regain international legitimacy and to prevent the return of the Khmer Rouge to power. The government in Phnom Penh at the time struggled to rebuild all the social, economic fabrics of our nation, which were completely destroyed during nearly 4 years of the Khmer Rouge regime's rule. Education system had to be rebuilt from zero, with most of the Cambodian educated workforce, including teachers, executed or died of disease or starvation during the Khmer Rouge regime. There was an acute shortage and need for foreign language skill to help Cambodia connect with the outside world. So the group of 15 young Cambodians were selected, and we were on a 3-year special English course, which later was equated to bachelor degree at the School of Languages of the Jawaharlal Nehru University under the ICCR scholarship scheme. In the School of Languages, they taught every languages, French, German, and all those Chinese and stuff, and other languages, but not English. That is why they had to organize a special English course for us. And the leaders and those who selected us and sent us to study were hoping that we could one day return to the country and make a difference to the sorry state of our nation. And we all have done that in different ways upon our return. So just in 1982, on a cold day, we arrived in New Delhi, where the bustling life, the masala-filled air, the sight of so many people competing for space in public buses greeted us. It took us quite some time to get used to get around, and it took us quite some time to get used to the hot food, Indian hot food, but now we have grown to love it. But life that greeted us at the time was a far cry from what was Cambodia at the time, where the street in Phnom Penh was almost empty. You could sleep on the street actually, no cars, no traffic to run over you. All the 15 of us who were selected to study English in India were of different ages and also had very background of education. The eldest one was in the late 20s. The youngest one was 17. And I was turning 19, so between the old and the young. So I could sense that the teachers, whom we so lovingly call them then, were struggling to bring our English to the same level. It was very hard for them to teach such a young group of traumatized people who already missed out some 5 years of formal education at the time. In 1985, I returned to Cambodia, armed with much needed English language skill and better knowledge of the world and life outside Cambodia. I was recruited to work in the information section of the Foreign Ministry. My job was to monitor English news broadcast on foreign radios like the BBC, Channel Australia, VOA, etc. And I summarized the news in Khmer and turned it into a short report for top Cambodian leaders, including our current Prime Minister, who was then still the Foreign Minister of Cambodia. And this may not be a significant thing to people outside Cambodia, but at that point of time, when Cambodia had very limited access to information, to sources of information, it was an essential daily routine to assist Cambodian leaders in their decision making. The job not only further enriched my knowledge of English, but also international relations. In addition to the diplomatic training conducted at the Foreign Ministry, we had to work as well as further educate ourselves at the same time. After 5 years of working, in 1990, I and most of the batch who were sent to India in 1982 was sent to India again for a one-year English refresher course at the Regional Center for English Study in Chandigarh, the capital of Punjab and Haryana. I think it was under the ITEC program. If this award were under ITEC, it's also fine. If it's ICCR, that's fine too. So after that study, and 3 years later, I was posted as the second secretary at our embassy in New Delhi. And between work, I successfully got a postgraduate degree from the Indian Academy of International Law and Diplomacy in India. And also, at the time, the computer came, and also I took a course in India on computer literacy as well. In 2003, after working for a while, it was time for me to improve my capacity in order to promote my career and to maintain my relevance in the foreign service. You know, the new wave were coming. As Cambodia's socio-economic development was fast moving forward, and more young people got better education, so I had to improve myself. Otherwise, they will shove me to the wall. So, but thanks to the English I learned from India, I managed to get a master's degree with high distinction in the field of my work from Flinders University of Australia. So I took another study, 1.5 years. So upon returning from my study in Australia in 2004, I was recruited to work in the minister's office as chief of the cabinet of the foreign minister. It's a very long stint of 8 years I spent there until 2012. And subsequently, I was posted as Cambodia's ambassador to Thailand, a job that I had between 2014 to 2017. And upon return, I was given the duty to oversee Cambodia's relations with countries in the Asia-Pacific region. You already mentioned, and India is one of the countries that I had to oversee the relationship. So I have opportunity to go back to India as well during this past few years. Just a short anecdote. One day, as I was working on a memo concerning a phone conversation between our Prime Minister Samdech Hun Sen and Honorable Prime Minister Modi to discuss about COVID pandemic and bilateral relation, I had a pleasant surprise, a call from our professor who taught us in the 80s. He was telling us that we need to write a short memoir of what we can remember from the 80s, because one of the professors who taught us at the time was retiring. I'm telling you this because I'd like you to know that the connection that we built 40 years ago still remains until today. And it gave me a flashback of the time I was in India. Never did it occur to me then that one day I would be dealing with political discourse at the top level between Cambodia and India. Looking back at how far I have progressed, both in life and in my career, in the last 40 years, I feel deeply indebted for the good start that the teachers, I like to keep calling them teachers because that's how we addressed them at the time. At JNU, they gave us a very good start. And further studies and experience I had from India. What I learned then is still as important now for the discharge of my present responsibility as a high-ranking foreign service official, as it was when I entered the service 37 years ago as a junior officer. Additionally, I found the love of my life at JNU. And one of our two daughters, Anita, was born in India. My husband was one of the 15 students sent in 1982. He did the same subsequent studies as I did. And he has also excelled in his career. Now he's serving as our ambassador to the United States. Unfortunately, he cannot be here with me because he's still busy with his job over there. So finally, I am very grateful to receive the ICCR Distinguished Alumni Award today. I feel greatly accomplished with this honor conferred to me. I hope my life story would encourage young alumnus. Many faces as young. I believe that 40 years ago you were still nowhere yet. And I hope that my life story will inspire you to continue contributing to the development of our country and also to enhancing the traditional relation of friendships between Cambodia and India. And I'm pleased that for the last couple of days that Dr. Vinay is here, he has been able to explore and enjoy Cambodia's rich heritage, which bear clear testimony of the cultural affinity between our two nations, which date back centuries. Finally, thank you, India. Thank you, ICCR, and perhaps thank you, ITEC program as well, and also my private study program in India that helps me build my career, that helps me contribute to my nation until today. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for patient listening to my long story. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Excellency, and thank you very much